Hello YouTube, and welcome to my man cave. Today I'm going to do something different. I'm home alone, the wife is gone with the kids, and I figured, why not? Let's do it. It's time to upgrade the firmware of my Traxxas Aton. Let's give it a go. But before I do this, I want to give you a little tour of my hangar 51, otherwise known as my man cave of my hobby. There's my tarantula, one of my oldest birds that I own, and some of the tools that I use to repair some of the stuff that I have to fix. I use these bins to hold all my tools. This is my Traxxas CX33. I love this toy. It's a great little fun little tricopter, hexacopter, something like that. I still don't know if this is a tricopter or a hexacopter, but it's still fun. And of course, here is my X380. Almost forgot. All of a sudden I blanked. And my Traxxas CX20. And I also do some boats with my son. We have the Falun 09 and the Falun 012. And my spaceship. And I have little nanos here. I have the Skull Drone and the Nano X, Proto X. And my 250. This is my son's air hog. He actually dumped in here, but it's fine. And this is my air dancer, my predator. And I have more. This is my JJ1000. This actually belongs to my son. And this is my Hex that I fly with. When he goes out flying his JJ1000, sometimes I go with him with my little Hex. And my pocket drone here. And in this bag here, I have my Phantom, and I keep it in this bag to secure it. And here's my Phantom Standard, and I also have this case, and this is a little bit of overkill, but this is where I keep my very first quad, and I keep it in this case to remember the beginning of the addiction of my hobby. My Cyma X5C, and that's where she lies. I hardly ever fly her, but she still works, and once in a while I'll fly her. The X5C is one of the best quads to learn how to fly before getting into the bigger quads. And underneath here is my son's quad. And this is a great quad too. It's a toy quad. The UDI HD. I forgot what they call it. A U18 or U something like that. But it's a great quad for kids to fly. And we have it there. So, but today I'm going to work on something else. And I'll show you in a minute. Alright, so I'm on the computer. And I'm getting ready to do a firmware update on the Traxxas Aton, and what you should have is one of these. And let me move this light a little bit so I can see this better. One of these. This is great. So you can store the file on the computer, and then you can put the SD card and this card reader to move it, and then the SD card will have to go in the quad. So I'll show you how to do that. So I put the SD card in the card reader, and now we're going to go to this website, which is the Traxxas website, and click firmware. And I'm waiting for the computer to, and Here it is. So what you do here is basically click to download, save it on your hard drive, and then from your hard drive move it over to this SD card, and then this SD card has to go inside the quadcopter, and I'll show you that next. Right, so I'm going to do click to download, and I'm going to do save, but I'm going to do save as because I want to save this file and keep it. Now I have in my computer a folder for drones and all, and I have a folder for Traxxas Aton, and I actually save all my files, all my firmware. So if, let's say, I don't like this new firmware for whatever reason, I can go back and update and use the old firmware. It's good to save all your firmware in case there's something wrong with it, and sometimes updates could be not that great, could be things that you give up and things that you don't want to give up, and when you do an upgrade you realize I don't like this new upgrade. So I like to save the old version in case, you know, for whatever reason I have it back. So this is the second firmware that I have here saved, so I'm going to put it in this folder right here. Alright, so now that I have it saved on the computer, I have the new one, it's in there, and now I have to move this file into the SD card. Just remember when you do something like that to format the SD card first before you move in the data. So I'm formatting that card and clicking start. You'll get a warning that you'll erase everything on that SD card, so make sure that there is nothing on that SD card that you don't want to lose. So I haven't really nothing in there that I really care for, so I'm going to format it and click OK. Click OK, you should get format complete. Alright, so that is my removable disk. It's completely formatted. It's a 14 gigabyte, actually it's a 16 gigabyte card, but you don't really get a full 16 gigabyte on it. You never get your full amount of any card. Some of it is used up for whatever reason when it comes. So there's plenty of room, so I'm going to click on this and open it. It's completely empty. I'm going to go over here and take the file, copy it, and then place it in my SD card like that. So now the new firmware is in my SD card, and I can remove it out of the computer and put it in the quadcopter next. Now you find that card on your computer, whatever letter it creates, and then click eject, and then it will be safe to remove. In my case it was disk drive I, and now I can remove the card. Okay, so now we're ready to install the SD card. I have it right here, the new firmware. It's inside here, so this has to go inside a quad. So what we got to do is open up this top canopy. Now the Aton comes with this hex tool, which is great. You don't have to worry about looking for the right size. You have to flip the quad right over here. You'll see two screws right here. These are the two screws right there. These two screws come off, and release it like this, and we turn it. And the good news is this this torque wrench is magnetized, which is great. Some of the stuff that you get for free are not magnetized. And there it is. Lost it. I have this little box that I use to hold my screws, because I tend to lose my screws when I remove them. So so now we just take the last one out carefully about losing it, and here we go, and we put it in there. Now this is a magnetized torque wrench. You don't want to be next to this file card, because magnets actually messes up SD cards. So put that a little bit away from each other. So then when you have this remove like this. You have this canopy off, and this is the inside of the Aton. Now the Aton's memory slot is right there. This is where you put the SD card. So what we're going to do is remove the SD card carefully, and don't touch the metal. Your oils from your skin can go on that metal contact points, so you don't want to do that. Touch the back part of the SD card and then put it in here and slide it in there, and it goes firmly in there. So just make sure it's snug, and that's it. And then you boot up the quad, and the updates will start immediately after you boot up the quad. Okay, so now we're ready to turn on the quad, and I like to keep this in a level table, so that's why I'm here. This table is very level, and I use a level to make sure that I'm in a level surface. So it's always good to have one of these if you want to make notice of where you're at and keep yourself level, to double check your level. So we have to do is the normal procedure. We turn on the transmitter first, and you always turn on the transmitter first when you turn on the Aton. So we'll put that there. I'm going to put it on the side over here. And then we're going to power up the quad. And when we do that, the quad's going to act different. It's going to make different noise. And you have to remember, when you power up the quad, you do not want to touch the quad or the transmitter when it's doing the firmware update. So here we go. So that's the noise it makes when it's updating. That strange noise. And we just wait patiently. Do not touch it. And let us do its course. So you can see the lights in the back. When you hear that tone, that double beep, you know your firmware is completed. You have this bar solid and this bar solid. That means your firmware has been updated and completed. So now, right now, we are waiting for GPS lock. At the same time, you also have this blinking light, which means it's ready to take off. But in reality, if this was outdoors, I would not take off until I get my GPS lock and my home lock. So what I like to do is actually wait to see if it gets its GPS lock. This might take a little while because I'm in the house, but it should do it because we have GLONASS. Alright, so I actually shut it off. I'm going to try to reboot again because it wasn't getting a GPS lock. And it might be because I'm in the house, but what I did was I removed the SD card, so now it has no SD card. So what I'm going to do is turn on the transmitter first, and plug in the battery, let it sit for a little bit, and see if it gets GPS. It's looking for GPS as we speak. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Okay, so now it got GPS and home point on my table. And I think it's because you're not supposed to have the bin files when you get done updating. Once it gets done updating, you have to remove the bin files from the SD card. You can leave the SD card in there, but if you do leave the SD card in there, you have to remove that bin file and then have a empty SD card without no bin file. But I prefer not to have any SD card because I don't want to do any logs on my aircraft. So after the firmware update, you have to do calibrations. Every time you do a firmware update, you need to do calibrations on level, and also the accelerometers, and also the compass. So I'm going to use the app and turn on my Bluetooth on my phone. And
connection established.
We have connection.
Standby mode.
So we're on standby mode, and we have connection established, and we have all the boxes lit green. And what I'm going to do now is hit this settings bar, and on the bottom over here it says calibrate. So we're going to hit calibrate, and you have three choices on the calibrate. The first one is level, the second one is the accelerometers, and the last one is compass. So this table I know is level, so I'm going to hit the level.
Level calibration accepted.
And just like that, the moment I hit touch to begin level calibration, I'll do it again.
Level calibration accepted.
And it's done. So now we're going to do accelerometer, and we hit this button to touch to begin.
Place vehicle level and press any key. Keep quad level and tap the set level button.
So let's go do another level test.
Place vehicle on its left side and press any key. Place quad on its left side and tap the set left button.
So now we're going to put the quad on his left side. Just like the diagram shows, and hit start. So I'm going to put this down here, and we'll hold it like that. So we'll try to make sure that it's pretty level when you do this, and we'll hit.
Calibration failed.
Oh boy.
Calibration failed.
So I took too long. Touch to begin.
Place vehicle level and press any key. Keep quad level and tap the set level button.
Alright, so we hit set level.
Place vehicle on its left side and press any key. Place quad on its left side and tap the set left button.
Like so.
Place vehicle on its right side and press any key. Place quad on its right side and tap the set right button.
So we do that. We'll set it on the right side.
Place vehicle nose down and press any key.
So nose
Place
down.
Nose down and tap the set nose down button.
So nose down on the table.
Place vehicle nose up and press any key. Place quad nose up and tap the set nose up button.
So nose up is like this.
Place vehicle on its back and press any key. Place quad on its back and tap the set back button.
So now the quad is on its back. And
axle range 19.7, 19.7, 19.7.
And that's how you set.
Offset 0, 0.04, 0.04 minus 0.14.
And that's how you
Scaling 0,
set
0.99,
the
0.99, 0.99.
accelerometer.
Calibration successful. Calibration successful.
Alright, so the last step you do is compass calibration. And that's the very most important thing. After any updates you do, you must do the compass calibration. If you replace the motor, I highly recommend to do all the sensors and all the compass calibrations on this program. So anything you change on this quad, you should do the compass calibration. So we changed the firmware, we're going to do a compass calibration. So we go back to where we were, and we did the level, we did the accelerometers, and now it's compass. So to do that, I'm already set. All four boxes are green. We hit this button to begin compass calibration. And we'll hold the quad this way and rotate. And we'll spin it this way until she tells me to flip it. And the compass is checking all the areas. And we gotta get all those green dots. So far I got 2 yellow dots. They're almost done. I got one more. now they want me to flip the quad, so I'll roll it this way, and we roll and trying to keep it really as level as I can when I roll it or flip it, whatever they, you know, it's the same thing. I'm just going by the diagrams.
Compass calibration accepted.
And that's how you do the compass calibration. And we'll put this back into film mode, and as you can see, all the lights are green and she's ready for takeoff. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful.